Representative Haas. Representative Hamilton.
President voting.
Representative Hammond. Representative Calcino. President voting. Representative Murkowski.
President voting.
Representative Matthews.
President voting.
Representative Moser. President voting. Representative O'Brien.
President voting.
Representative Kazak. Representative Gerlofsky. Representative Schiff. Representative Baisley. Representative Bell.
President voting.
Representative Shillow.
President voting.
Representative Delano. Representative Solton. Representative Brubaker.
President voting.
Representative Inn.
President voting.
Representative Hernandez.
President voting.
Representative Sedano.
President voting.
Representative Azak. Representative Minnesota. Representative Mulder. Representative Benson. Representative Giannini.
President voting.
Representative Irizarry. Representative Zhang.
President voting.
Representative Iris. President voting. Representative Lux.
President voting.
Representative Titan. Senator Shaw. Speaker Douglas.
Present.
Parliamentarian Agrawal. Present. Vice President Wynn.
President voting.
Vice President Thompson.
President voting.
Vice President Sanford.
President voting.
Vice President Wayne.
President voting.
Vice President Weber.
President voting.
President Pinter.
President voting. Good. Are there any guests with us this evening? Would you please introduce yourself, please?
Sure. I'm David Fleshler, Assistant Provost for International Affairs. He's invited to come and talk about our international affairs.
Thank you so much, Mayor. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
President Pinner.
Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone had an enjoyable weekend. So just to kind of kick things off, first I want to thank everybody for your awesome attendance and engagement last week at the USG retreat. Give yourselves a round of applause, seriously. I really believe that we came and we left as a improved body, so I'm really anxious to see what we kind of achieve from that. Just some quick reminders. The SEC referendum on student salaries and stipends is ongoing, so please, if you have not voted, vote. Tell your constituents to vote. This is really important as we move forward with this issue. Also, one more thing. The SEC Student State of the University Address, again, February 12th. Please put that on your calendar. It's a chance for you guys, for you and the overall student body to hold your student leaders accountable. I will be speaking. The president of UPB, RHA, IFC, Panheld, and Media Board will also be speaking, reporting on their organizations. So please tell your constituents to come February 12th, Strosacker Auditorium, 12:30 during community hour. As you can see, Associate Provost Fleshler for International Affairs is here. He'll be speaking to us about kind of his office and his work. I don't know if you guys remember, but one of the first, I think the first piece of legislation that we passed was welcoming Associate Provost Fleshler to this university and pledging to work with him. So I'm excited to see him here, and please feel free to ask him any questions about internationalization or his work or his past or anything. Moving forward, can I see that diversity report real quick? Thanks. Next week, we'll have Vice President Marilyn Mobley come speak to us about diversity efforts on this campus. This is why you have this diversity report. This is something that was produced by our office and introduced in MLK Week. If you have not picked one up, please do. Please read it, read over it, and have some questions for her, because this is kind of a good summary of what her work in her office is about. And then finally, because we have a lot of activities on Thursday, myself and Vice President Nguyen will be serving on a lot of the activities that are going on. iWeek has a panel, OMA and the orientation leaders have a panel. We'll be having exec today after GA. So I just sent out the agenda. If you guys want to stay, feel free. You're welcome. Okay? I think that's it. I'm open to points.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Vice President Nguyen.
I have no report, but I'm open to points.
Excellent. Vice President Weber.
Hello, everyone. I'll be brief because we all know that loss begins tonight, so I want to keep this meeting moving, but I'm joking, obviously. I just want to take a minute and bring everybody up to speed on what the Finance Committee has been doing. We've been having really great meetings. We've had a lot of success with the collaboration group mission statement audit, so categorizing all the different group mission statements and assembling kind of a database so student groups will be able to go through and read these different mission statements to better identify and target collaboration and opportunities in regards to that. We are redoing all the mailboxes, which is badly needed, updating it with the most current student groups, and then we'll be putting all the mail back in. So just another resource for student groups. Staying on top of the student organization contact list. Groups will be having elections and officer turnover soon, so we are maintaining those records. Finance Committee, I sent out a doodle this afternoon. If everybody could please fill that out, because this next Friday and the following Friday we will be changing the meeting times to accommodate the engineering forum that's this Friday, and then the State of the University address next Friday. I also want to thank Representative Hamilton for loaning exec his car 2 weekends ago. That was not the first time he's done it, so thank you very much. Open to points.
Yes.
When does the collegiate link training stuff start?
Soon, hopefully. We had a call with them today. They're still doing some of the back end process design things, and we're communicating a couple of our specific needs to them. But so mid-February is the target date.
Yes, Representative Huffman.
The open forum on Friday for engineers relates to all students. So it's being organized by the engineering committee, whatever should come relates to all students.
Excellent. Any other questions for Vice President Weber? Thank you. Vice President Wang.
Everything is in my board report, so I'm open to points. However, I do have a few reminders about Integrity Week. There's a lot of free food. There's free Jimmy John's in North 310, and there's free pizza burger on Friday inside the town ballroom. So just a reminder, a lot of calendars.
Any questions for?
Sorry, one more thing. The forum about post-break assignments is Massive Stones Chapel on Friday as well. Please attend to that, please. Thank you.
Any questions for Vice President Wang? Excellent. Vice President Sanford.
I yield my time to Jeff.
All right, so PR committee met today. We had a really good amount of members there. It was nice. And, so for Spring Fest, that's on April 24th, we need ideas for a logo for the t-shirt swap. If you don't know what that is, you bring in like a shirt from another university, and then we'll give you a K-shirt, and we need to make that shirt still. Also, we want to have like a caucus game show. Last year there was like a trivia game, you answer questions about case or whatever, and we get you a different shirt, another case shirt, and we would like to have members of the caucus running that, so keep that in mind. And I just sent out the representative spotlight. If you've already taken it, you don't have to fill it out again, but if you haven't taken this survey, please fill it out. That way we can continue the representative spotlights. And we would like to start a what happened in GA this week video, which is basically just a short recap after GA. It'll take like 10 minutes. All you really got to do is read Jackie's minutes or Amy's minutes about GA. And I sent the Facebook event for the open forum to everybody who's on my list. If you haven't, send it to everybody on your list. That way people know. And that's all. I'm open to points.
Any questions for Representative Bell? Okay, thank you. Please be patient with our audio visual. Our guys are working hard on fixing it right now. Vice President Thompson?
I have no report.
Okay. We'll move into caucus reports from the Engineering Caucus. Representative Downey.
As some people might have hinted a couple times already, there is a USG open forum this Friday and a Massive Stone Chapel, and it will have better food than Jimmy John's, so you should definitely go to that. In fact, I'll read you the menu right now. We're having sandwich trays, vegetable trays, tomato and cheese pizza, cake square tray, candy bar and brownies tray, and then quite a few drinks as well. So you should definitely hit that up. The PR for this event is going out. I want to say a big thank you to my caucus and also the AA committee, and then also Jackie for helping out on this. But the biggest way PR hits is by word of mouth. So get out there, tell all your friends, free food. I'm also looking for a couple more volunteers just to be there so we have a bigger presence. The Engineering Caucus will be there, and then some of the Academic Affairs Committee will also be there. But I'd like anyone who can to be there at 12 just to help have some more people there, because we're going to try to grab people outside of Amasa as they walk into the quad, and then also station some people at the grab it station so we can grab them away from there. So if I'll just come see me after the meeting about helping out with that. But also just a reminder, we're having another caucus meeting this Thursday at 5 in Fribley. I'm open to points.
Vice President Weber?
Yeah, the entire Finance Committee should plan on being there because it's a regular meeting time, so.
Excellent.
Thanks, Max.
Any other questions? Thank you, Representative Downey. The Arts and Science Caucus, Representative Bagat.
Good evening, everyone. The Arts and Science Caucus will be having an event on Thursday. It's tea and coffee and donut holes, or munchkins from Dunkin' Donuts. And in return for, you get one munchkin for a suggestion on how to improve the university or what you want to see changed in the College of Arts and Science. So feel free to stop by and attend. It'll be from, I believe, 11:30 to 1. On this Thursday, and we'll be having a meeting this week, actually right after this GA, to sort out the details for that, as well as finalize discussion points to have with our meeting with Dean Taylor next Tuesday after GA as well. Any questions?
Any questions for Representative Bagat? Colleen?
Sorry, I missed where the thing was on Thursday.
What?
Where is your...
Oh, sorry. Twing. The atrium. It'll be in the atrium. Bless you, Jared.
Thank you, Representative Bagat. For the Nursing Caucus, Representative Arick.
So the Nursing Caucus has met a couple times over the past 2 weeks, and we've come up with kind of an action plan that we have for the semester. One of our main focuses is going to be implementing a transportation system. We had tried to do this last semester, and we worked with the dean to do this, but it was shot down by risk management. So Colin, Laura, and I are going to try and make a presentation to risk management and give them a student perspective of it and see if they're open to anything, because we haven't tried to connect with them. We're also going to have a Life After a Case workshop to talk about what options there are for nursing besides working as a nurse, graduate school options, things like that. And we're going to work with the Alumni Association at the nursing school on that event. We're trying to implement an NCLEX review. The NCLEX is a test that you take to become a registered nurse. So a lot of the seniors are starting to study for that. So we're going to try and do a review. We hope to have a barbecue on April 23rd. which is the last day of class for the seniors, like a senior send-off, and to bring all students, faculty, and staff together. We're going to have cupcake complaints on March 16th and 17th. And we are also trying to implement a few curriculum changes. We hope to implement a medical terminology and medical calculation class freshman year. We're also working on restructuring the lab that we have for all freshman and sophomore nursing students, and to implement clinical case scenarios every week during the lab. So I'm open to points.
Questions for, yes, Vice President Nguyen?
Can you go further on the transportation you were talking about? What does that entail?
Well, nursing students, we go out in the community. We have a community clinical, so we are sent out into the school districts in the community. And we also are required to provide our own transportation to clinicals. All freshmen have their clinicals at UH, but once you become a sophomore, a lot of students have them at Cleveland Clinic. You can have them at Lakewood Hospital, which is 30 minutes away. You could also have them at Fairview, which I think is 40 to 45 minutes away from campus. So a lot of students do carpool, but that is a huge expense on top of everything else. So we're trying to work with that to, there's a van service that's offered to the freshmen for community clinicals, because you go to the different school districts around the Cleveland Municipal School District, like all the different elementary schools. So we're trying to open that up to upperclassmen students as well. So we're just looking at some different options. And it was the results of the cupcake complaints last year. This was one of the main topics that the students had. So.
Colleen?
Are you working with USNA on any of these?
We are not. They help us.
Really amazing.
But they kind of do their nurses ball. We do collaborate with them a little bit, but not a lot.
So you really are more of a governing.
It's just this, yeah. It's just Colin, Laura, and I. So yeah.
Excellent.
Okay.
Thank you, Representative Arick. The Weatherhead Caucus, Representative Zhang.
Sorry. Hello, everyone. Basically, this semester, the Weatherhead Caucus will do 4 things. The first is we are going to change our web page. We want to make the web pages more efficiency, more like we can do it. Basically, we will update every like the interview news, like the career fair, and also like any speaker's notes for this semester. And the second things we need to do is to add the food options to the PBL. Basically what we will focus on is we probably will talk to the Bon FT to ask them whether they can offer like 1 or 2 meal option like per week to the PBL, because like a lot of kids, they are really rushed to the they always really rush during the noon because of the class, and they don't really have the time to eat. So we think if we can all offer the meal plan to the PBL, maybe just 1 or 2 options per week, that will be better. And the third thing is we will continue to do the survey, which we already did next semester. This semester we will make it more completely. We will focus on 2 parts. The first thing is to let people know more about the USG, and another thing is to ask their opinions about the PBLs and the Weatherhead. So the last thing is about our representative of Weatherhead. We will increase the advertisement and also to let them know there is a group of USG people working for the Weatherhead, and if they have anything they want to change and anything they want to help, so they can just directly connect to us, and then we can tell the USG what we should change. Yeah, any open point?
Any questions? Yes.
Would this include the existing
cafeteria that's in PBL, or?
Yeah, that's basically what I'm talking about. Because like, I think as far as we know, the food in the PBL is under the $10. So if we can have like one meal swipe with like under maybe around the $10 food, probably they will do it. But like since the since like the cafes in the PBL probably will be a little bit complicated than the Loiner and the Freebly. So we are still need to connect to them and to see whether there's opportunity to do that. Thank you. Any one point?
Thank you, Representative Zhang.
Thank you.
The first year caucus, is there anyone to give a report from the first years?
No report, come to me afterwards.
Excellent. Parliamentarian Agarwal.
Okay, hello everyone. So elections, our U.S. spring elections have been set for March 25th and 26th. So with that said, we need an election commissioner. And our Constitution says that that commissioner needs to be elected 4 weeks prior to the election. So we'll be taking nominations for election commissioner next GA. The election commissioner has to be a member of USG. So if you'd like to consider becoming the election commissioner or would like to nominate someone, please do that next week. You can ask me more about the position after GA if you'd like. So some more dates, the commissioner will be elected the following week, February 16th. And then that commissioner will appoint 4 members to be on the commission, 2 of which have to be USG members and another 2 which they can be any undergraduate student. And then that commission will be appointed by GA on February 23rd. Yes, Skylar.
Point of clarification.
Yes.
Can the election commissioner be somebody who's planning to run in the elections?
No.
Any other questions for Parliamentarian Agarwal? Okay. Thank you. There is a misprint in your agenda. We do next need to swear in our newest representatives. So if you were elected last week, we will need you to come front and center. And President Pinder, would you take the podium? So this is to clarify Representative Irizarry. Who else?
Yep.
Anyone who was elected, anyone who was elected last week, the 3 of you.
Svetlana's. Yep.
Front and center.
Front and center.
All the way up here so the camera can see you.
Wow, we elected a lot of people.
All right, can you please raise your right hand? I state your name in full. Do solemnly swear as a representative of the USG to responsibly represent my constituency to the best of my ability. I promise to faithfully uphold the Constitution and all appropriate bylaws of the USG. As an elected representative to the USG, I further pledge to serve the students of Case Western Reserve University with integrity and honesty. Congratulations.
Thank you. In the interest of his time, we are now going to ask our guest speaker, Associate Provost Flesher, to take the podium and tell us about your plans. Of course.
Well, thank you very much for having me. We've tried to do this for a number of weeks. I see that I was on the agenda for the 19th of January, apparently, originally, but somehow 2 weeks slipped by. So I apologize for not being here sooner. The one thing that I've noticed, this is my first meeting, and I hope to be at many more, but the one thing I've noticed is that food is a theme that comes in over and over again in all of the reports. So I know the way to get to people's hearts, I guess, here. So I'd like to make this as much of a dialogue and an open session as possible. So if you have questions, thoughts, ideas as I'm going along, by all means interrupt and we'll talk about it. And at the end, certainly we should have a conversation. So I've been here now for about 8 months. And as many of you may know, I am the Associate Provost for International Affairs, and I run the Office of International Affairs. The Office of International Affairs was newly created and comes out of the university's strategic plan, which was adopted about a year and a half ago now. And if you read the strategic plan, which I'm sure all of you have done in great detail, you'll see that international issues, the idea of global citizenship, of partnering not just locally or nationally but internationally, is something that is a theme in the strategic plan sort of over and over again. And there's lots of reasons for that I don't think I'll go into now, but it's all of the things that I'm sure that you know about. We're becoming a smaller world. Companies want students to come out of university understanding different parts of the world, how different people act. There's all sorts of reasons for us to become a more international university. The strategic plan then required some kind of implementation. So out of the strategic plan came the Office of International Affairs, and at this point I am the Office of International Affairs. I have a 60% associate who also works in the office, but it's the two of us, so we're 1.6% of the time basically. And over the last 8 months or so, I've gone around to the university and I've talked with lots of people, including some people in this room, about various different issues that are going on. And I'll tell you, it's really pretty impressive, the kind of international activity that's happening around this university, literally in every school, and many, many cutting-edge kinds of programs in the law school, medical school, various areas in arts and sciences, and engineering, and on and on and on. But as I've started to discover, not a lot of people know about these kinds of activities within the school, and certainly outside of the university, very few people know about them. So as I've gone around and talked to people, both within the university and outside the university, if you ask the question, what institutions in Cleveland do you think of as being international institutions, what answers would some of you come up with? Because I can tell you what the people have told me. Anybody have any thoughts on, if you think of international institutions in Cleveland, what they would be?
Browns.
The Browns. That's an interesting one. That one people haven't said. I'm sorry? The Clinic. Yeah. The Clinic.
Cleveland Orchestra.
Cleveland Orchestra. Art Museum? Case Western, okay. Well, so this gets us to my point, which is that if you look at all of these, and then a couple of people mention private companies, Eaton or Parker Hannifin, who have, they have offices in various different places throughout the world, but very few people say Case Western Reserve University. But as I've gone around and looked at Case Western Reserve University, you see that there is probably more international activity, research, student exchanges, institutional relationships in more places throughout the world than probably any of those other institutions that you've mentioned. So we don't understand what we've got here, number one, and we haven't communicated it, number two. And then, of course, the reason that my office was created is that everybody is doing their own thing, and there's very little central idea of what we should be doing internationally. So, so after these first few months, one of the things that I realized is that we need to create some sort of international plan that takes what was already in the university strategic plan and goes further in depth with our international activities. So last week, 2 weeks ago, we kicked off a planning process. And I know, Dwayne, you were there. I don't know if anyone else was at the workshop. But we had about, well, I don't know, 80, 85, mostly faculty and administrators there for the kickoff of the international strategic planning process. The president got up and spoke a little bit about the direction of the university and where we want to go. And then we had a woman from the American Council on Education who has worked with universities all throughout the nation over the course of the last 6 or 7 years in developing strategic direction, strategic ideas with universities in internationalization. And then there are 2 other co-chairs of what is now the International Planning Committee. I'm one. The 2 others are Jim Kazura from the medical school and Janet McGrath from the College of Arts and Sciences. And then on the International Planning Committee, which we have now set up, are representatives from each one of the 8 schools and the college, and then various administrators. And I've talked with Dwayne about having somebody from as a representative from the undergraduate students, and then we'll also look to have a representative from graduate student body on the large committee. And then from that, we've started. We haven't completed it yet. We're breaking down into various different working groups to make sure that all of the various areas are touched on. So the 3 initial ones are an infrastructure work group, which really will determine what this Office of International Affairs is going to look like going forward. Because there's as one of my colleagues has said, being in this position is like drinking water from a fire hose. There is so much coming across the email and phone calls with so many different schools and activities that you just can't figure out what to do unless, number one, you have a plan, and number 2, you have an infrastructure to be able to handle what we're trying to do. So there's an infrastructure working group to figure out what this office should look like, and then the 2 other, at least initial ones, are undergraduate study abroad and international experience working group, which I know is something that this body has talked about with some regularity and detail. And it's also, I've also requested that there be an undergraduate student that would sit on that working group. And then the third sort of initial working group, where we're really trying to make some pretty quick progress, is an undergraduate admissions, retention, and campus life working group, which again is something that this body, I would imagine, is pretty interested in. You know, what kind of percentage of international students do we want on campus? How do we make sure we try to retain students, make sure that campus life is good for international students? All of those kinds of issues will be debated and talked about in that working group. And then we have a few other areas that we're going to want to get into, although those are the first 3 initial ones. Others include research, partnerships, and outreach beyond the university. What kinds of partnerships should we have? What kinds of institutions should we be partnering with? What will we be partnering about? Exchange programs, research opportunities, et cetera. And then the whole area of resources and funding. Because as all of you probably know better than I do, the university is not flush with cash. And so we have to figure out, if we're going to do these things, especially if they're additive, if it's something that we're not doing now but we want to do, how do we pay for that? I'm actually pretty convinced that once we start moving down this path and people see that we're serious about it and we're excited about it, that there are going to be alumni, there are going to be foundations, we will find various different government and non-governmental entities that will be interested in supporting what we're doing in various specific areas. So, so in sort of brief, that's the direction that we're going via sort of to create the whole central and coordinated international planning process. And then there's lots else I could talk about, some short-term things we're trying to do in China and elsewhere, and there's lots else that we're doing, but I think that's the real guts of it. So I'll stop there and sort of open this to questions and thoughts that you might have, and I'm especially interested in those three areas that we're pushing on initially, which is infrastructure for the office, the whole issue of undergraduate study abroad and international experiences, and undergraduate admission, retention, and campus life.
Excellent. Any questions right now for Mr. Fleischer? Representative Hamilton?
I'm wondering if you're basing what your plan is off any other schools done in the past. And if so, tell me which schools or whose school that is.
Well, there's no specific school that we're basing it off of, but there's lots of different schools that we're looking at. That's part of the reason that we've asked the American Council on Education to help out with what we're doing here, because they've worked with, I don't know, 42 in a serious way with 42 or some number like that universities from across the country. And so in terms of best practices and what other schools are doing and how they're organized, they have a sense of that. So we're in pretty constant consultation and contact. So we're looking at all of that, but it's also pretty clear that, like any place, Case Western Reserve is a unique entity. Everyone, talks about the sort of the silos that we see here in the various different college and the schools. That maybe is more so than other places. So we need to take into account what we're doing as well. So my hope is that at the end of this process, or as we're making decisions in this process, that we're looking at what the best practices are out there. We're looking at what other schools have done, but we're making sure to adapt them in ways that make sense for us.
Any other question? Vice President Wynn?
In kind of having these conversations before with, I guess, in group settings, talking about study abroad specifically, I know one of the major issues that come up is that, we don't have a lot of opportunities here to go various places as other schools do. The options are kind of limited to certain areas. And so I was kind of wondering if you had any kind of initial steps that you were taking to kind of, open that up, open that field up to more, I don't know what the plans are, but do you elaborate on maybe if you have any plans?
Well, that's really what this Study Abroad International Experience working group is meant to do. I mean, there's a variety of different issues here. One issue is what does our infrastructure in study abroad look like versus, let's say, other universities that might be our peers or aspirational peers, or that are really best practices out there. So if you want to think of that, you look at places like Michigan State or Purdue that have extensive study abroad programs. Many of their students go abroad, and we need to learn from those places. Well, how do they organize themselves? Number one, what's the resource capability that they have, and how does that compare to what we have? If you look at the variety of programs that they have, long-term semester or year study abroad versus short-term 1 or 2 week courses, who's taking that, how are they taking that? Those are all the things that I think we're going to be looking at, and one of the deadlines that we're pushing is to make those three working groups come back sooner with plans rather than later, so this doesn't just, wallow for a long time. So that's the idea. So I can't give you a specific to say, look, we're going to do X, Y, and Z, because part of this has to be considered, and there's some of these areas that need to have some sort of official faculty approval as you decide what to do. I was at a FISCU meeting, Faculty Senate Committee for Undergraduate Education, right? Isn't that, I think that's FISCU. I was at a FISCU meeting 3 or 4 weeks ago, and there was a whole conversation about the requirement that if you study abroad and you're in a country that doesn't speak English, that you have to have I can't remember what the level is, but you have to have a relatively high level of language in order to be able to go there. And there was a lot of conversation back and forth about, number one, how the world is a much smaller place, number two, that in many countries, there are English language programs that you can learn English in those in universities or in programs abroad, even if you're in a country that doesn't speak English. And so should we limit ourselves to only going to English-speaking countries or only people that are pretty proficient in the language? And so I think there's a debate going on, and that's part of what this working group is going to debate and then come up with recommendations, and some of those may need to be passed by Faculty Senate and others in order for them to take hold.
President Pinder?
Do you have any set kind of timelines from the provost or the president for what your office is supposed to do, in a year or 2 years, any kind of deliverables that are expected from your office?
Well, there's several specific deliverables from the provost, and then I guess I would say there's expected outcomes through the president's office and the provost's office. So the specific deliverable is that by July 1st, we have an infrastructure of this office that's been approved through whatever the process is. And I think the process will be to be approved by the International Planning Committee to the provost, and the provost makes infrastructure changes. I don't think that needs to go through any other process. So whatever this office, at least initially, is going to look like, and there may be some long-term plans, that I think will happen by July 1st, and that's what we're working for. The president is particularly interested in making sure that a lot of the issues surrounding study abroad are brought in hand quickly. So things like the risk management issues, insurance issues, communication issues, the things that we as a university have never done in a centralized manner, but have been done in each of the different schools. It doesn't really make any sense to say, if you're going to sign one piece of paper to go abroad in the law school, and you sign a different piece of paper to go abroad in the medical school, that the university itself isn't culpable in both those instances. So we ought to make sure that we have one document that everybody's signing as they go abroad. So those kinds of things are very sort of fairly quick deliverables as well. In terms of the broader perspective, that's what this process is meant to bring out. And then I will say something else about deliverables. The other thing that we're looking at through this office is what are the short-term kinds of opportunities that we may have that will really benefit students and benefit the university. So one of those areas that we've been looking at is the possibility of increased relationships in China. To have one example, China, because it's such a large and important and growing international destination, and because much of what we're doing aligns with what is going on in China. So the easiest example of that is sustainable energy. If any of you saw the New York Times this weekend, there was a big article on the front page of the New York Times about how China is passing us up in sustainable energy. And the president, in his State of the Union address a week ago, talked about the same sort of thing. So we have, in conjunction with some of the other institutions around Cleveland, have been looking at how can Cleveland in general and Case Western Reserve University in specific be a leader in this kind of area. And there's an area in China, a city in China called Tianjin, which has been designated by the Chinese government as the area to develop sustainable energy, specifically wind energy, in China. So we're now in conversation with Tianjin University and with others in Tianjin about how to work together on some of that, which will benefit our researchers, our graduate students, and our undergraduate students who are interested in in that kind of area. So there are some short-term things that we clearly are marching towards as well.
Colleen?
You're talking about the infrastructure. Are you talking also about appropriate staffing to support the work teams and some of the outcomes? So right now, because you're a staff of 1.5.
1.6.
Part of the recommendations on the infrastructure will also involve the appropriate staffing. So do you see, okay.
We actually had a conversation about this morning with the first meeting of this infrastructure working group, and one of the issues clearly is going to have to be resources, because you can't put out a grand vision for what you want to do and then say, well, there are no resources available. So that'll be a conversation that we'll have to go back and forth with the provost and the president about resources. And as I say, there's also got to be a conversation about what additional resources we might be able to bring in, because we're doing this for the first time. So, up until now, people look at Case Western Reserve and they say, well, there's no central international activity, so there's nothing to resource there. But now there's the possibility of doing that. So I think there's a variety of ways to try to look at this.
Vice President Nguyen?
Last question for me. But I wanted to ask you, with the international student population that's coming into this university, I wanted to ask you whether or not you have any plans to, I guess, look into the diversity of the student population, whether it be their majors or the locations that they're coming from. Because I know we're concentrating a lot on China right now, and so we might get an influx of a lot of Chinese international students. But I was wondering, because the experience that you get from maybe someone from Russia or Germany coming in, I think is also as valuable. So I was wondering if you had any input on that.
We absolutely have input on that. What has happened, well, many of you may know that up until this year's freshman class, about 3% of each of the undergraduate classes was made up of international students. This year there was a big jump. It's about 9% of this year's freshman class are international students. And I would like to say that there was a lot of planning and effort that went into developing that big jump. But I think a lot of what happened was certain dates were moved around, and so students who were admitted could actually come because they could get visas earlier, and they could make sure that if they were conditionally admitted, they could take enough English language courses to be able to pass the English test and be finally admitted to the university. What this admission, retention, and campus life working group is meant to do is address exactly those kinds of issues. What really is the percentage of international students that we'd like to have? Just like the admissions office addresses what's the percentage of out-of-state students versus Ohio students, what's the percentage of the background of students that we'd like to have. So they'll address that sort of question, and then the question of diversity among international students is clearly one to be addressed. I think that no one thinks that it's a good thing that we have just international students coming from one country. That should also, represent a diversity, because it represents a richness for the university. So all of those issues, I think, need to be addressed, and paramount, in those issues is when students are here. This obviously isn't just for international students, but given that this is what my role is, it's the thing I'm concentrating on. Once students are here, how do we make sure that it's really a good experience, not just for the international student that's here, but also for the domestic student that's here, so that there's real interaction, there's real learning, there's real understanding that goes on. And you all have a much better idea of how much that happens on campus, in the dormitories, in your classrooms, et cetera, than right now I do. And so that's one of the reasons that I'm hoping that we get input from, from students. And just to add, one of the things that we want to do as part of this whole process is really reach out and involve various different groups from around the campus, faculty, students, alumni, administrators, et cetera, in weighing in on these issues. So we will be having campus forums in which people can come and express ideas and thoughts. I don't know how they'll be organized exactly yet and quite when they'll be, but that's part of the plan. We're going to create some kind of website for this whole planning process, and as part of that website, people will be able to comment and add their thoughts and ideas. If there's any other kinds of tools that you think we should be using, and I'm a little past the real Twitter generation, but if those kinds of things make sense, we'll try to figure out a way to set that up to be able to communicate. I know when your president spoke at the provost retreat, one of the things that he talked about was the difficulty in communicating with the campus, and particularly with students. And so, if there are ways that we can, that we can reach out, because it's meant to be an inclusive process, and frankly, if it's not, it fails, because if people don't buy into what we're trying to do, or they at least don't have the ability to comment, then people will resent it and won't want to do it. So this is where I need your help to figure out how to do all of that.
Any other questions, Mr. Flesher? Well, thank you very much for joining us this evening.
And I'd be happy to come back and report on this as time goes along. And I know I heard several people say this in your various caucus reports, et cetera. Really try to spread the word that what we're trying to do as a university is be more inclusive, be more of an international place, and we need all of your help to be able to try to do that. So, thank you.
Thank you. We will move into our report from the Student Sustainability Council. Mr. Allen. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. So right off the bat, the first week's results for Recyclemania are in. This is technically week 3, but the process of getting the information, collaborating it, putting it up there, and then Recyclemania, they were posted on Friday. This coming Friday, the week 2 results should be posted up. So as it says in the agenda, the good news is recycling is through the roof relative to this time last year. It's really great. We've literally over doubled our total recycling, and per person has gone from 0.69 pounds per person in week 1 to 1.62 pounds per person. Our waste is relative to the first week of last year bad, but it's on par. Last week we had a very low waste the first year, 3.59 pounds, so about 3.5 pounds per person. This year it's 6.8, so almost 7. But that is just a hair above average for the overall every week for last year. So that means we're right on par, and there's room to improve, but it's not all bad news. Just a little tip, in order to kind of encourage reusing and decreasing consumption and waste, the Rough Rider Room and Spot, if you bring in your own beverage container that is no larger than 16 ounces, don't be bringing in a giant jug or something, you'll get 25 cents off of drinks. Also, for more information on Recyclemania, check out, there's stuff in the today's Case Daily has the first week's results, and they're going to keep updating those as we go. Also, there's a Facebook group for Recyclemania, and if you haven't got invited by me, that means we're not friends, and that's a bad thing, so friend me. Trevor, Trevor.
Oh, just on the spot, on the Rough Rider promotion, do you have a limit of 1 per visit, or can you bring in like 4 and like $1?
As far as I know, there is no limit. Oh, but container-wise, 1 container per drink. So, you know, you pay for a drink, 25 cents off. You want to get a drink later, I believe, another 25 cents off.
Yes.
Does that 25 cents off include 75-cent Monday drinks? So you get
I can't speak to that. I'm sorry.
Okay, that'd be awesome.
No.
That would.
It does not.
We don't want to put them out of business. That would just go a little beyond our hopes. Secondly, just real quick, I know a lot of people on campus use Brita filters. I use one myself. Brita filters are in fact recyclable, and Whole Foods up on Cedar Road is recycling them, but you don't want to go all the way to Cedar, you know, random trips. So there are collection boxes, one in Wade, one in Fribley for Brita. They'll be there from now straight through May 7. We'll be checking them weekly to take your Brita filters to Whole Foods for you and recycle them. No work required by you except walking your butt to Wade or Fribley. Additionally, real quick, I'll do that in the announcement. Finally, we've received a lot of questions, and I've actually gotten reports from a couple people from USG who have received a lot of questions regarding batteries. A lot of people know that batteries are recyclable. That's good. 5 years ago, nobody knew that batteries are recyclable. Tricky thing is batteries are hazardous waste because they're full of dangerous materials, so you can't just toss them in a recycling bin. CASE is actively working, Facilities Services is actively trying to find, they have a number of people who are willing to collect batteries and other hazardous electronics and these kind of hazardous waste recyclable items. That's a mouthful. But they're working out the fine details to find the right person. So once that's set up, hopefully within the semester, we'll have a central location, probably on the quad or in Twing or somewhere centralized, that you can take batteries, electronics, and these kinds of things to recycle and be better to the world and be easy on you. That's all I have. I'm open to any points, questions?
Questions for Mr. Allen? Vice President Thompson?
Is the waste number inclusive of the recycling number, or is it just actual trash?
Waste number, yes, I'm sorry. Waste is specifically trash, not recycle. Okay. Let me take that back and completely reverse everything I just said. Waste includes trash and recycling. The trick is it's a little back and forth. We want to recycle as much as we can, but at the same time that's included in our overall waste. Obviously, you want to produce, that's why it says reduce, reuse, recycle. You want to reduce in the first place. So yes, waste does include trash and recycling. It's all waste produced whatsoever. So that's why the best slogan, if you're ever confused, is use less, recycle the rest. So ideally, increasing recycling is good, but don't go buy a pop just so you can recycle the can or bottle. That's a little unnecessary. Thank you for excellent point. Yeah.
Vice President Sanford?
Is there anything we should be doing with like the batteries now?
You should put them in a little Ziploc baggie and store them in your closet. At that, actually, I have a small store myself because I'm one of the guys who says, oh, I want to take this home next time I go home, and then I don't, I forget it. So I actually have a nice little store baggies of batteries in my closet from about 2 or 3 years now. So if you really want to bring, are you about to change that? Okay, Ms. Zoltan.
You can go on sustainability.case.edu and submit a part order, and they'll pick it up for you.
Okay.
That's e-waste and batteries. So if you're an old computer, old printer, any of that.
Excellent.
Excellent.
I don't know how recent that
Good to go.
was or is, but last time I checked, that was still on the website.
So that means there's a giant hoard of e-waste and batteries somewhere in the recycling center right now too. So.
Any other questions for Mr. Allen? Thank you, sir. We will now open. Sure. I believe you. We will now open old business. Anyone have legislation for old business? Seeing none, nominations are open for Taft House representative. Are there any nominations tonight? Representative Mueller?
Joe Versick.
Okay. Any other nominations? Taft House representative. Excellent. Having enough nominations to fill the election, we will vote next week for Taft House representative. Nominations will remain open until that election begins. Is there any new business? Seeing none, we'll move into open forum. Any points for open forum? Representative Brubaker?
Vice President Wynn, can you pull up that email I sent you?
A few weeks ago, the freshman caucus authored this bill that would amend the election procedures so that in the event that a position remains open for more than a semester, like has happened this past year, that freshmen be permitted to run for it in the spring semester. As soon as Mintry pulls it up, we can look at the actual language, and that's not it. We can discuss it.
That is not it.
Don't worry. And really, I just want to get GA's feedback on this because it will be going before J Board in the near future.
So as we open discussion on this, if everyone is clear, this will allow freshmen to run for positions within a caucus, engineering, arts and science, etc., if declared during their second semester. So does anyone have anything related to this bill that they would like to discuss now? This is not being brought up as a piece of legislation in business, so no voting or tabling procedures necessary, just discussion. Any points? Representative Bagat?
I like it.
Super. Representative Moeller?
I remember them discussing this at exec a few weeks ago, and a lot of the concerns they had to do with like familiarity to USG and stuff like that. And I really think that all that can be like brought up when after they go up and give their speech after they're nominated and stuff. So.
Representative Moeller? Not Moeller, Jesus.
Moser, would we expect, like, there's just no freshman caucus then, like, towards the end of the second semester, towards the end of the spring semester, would it just, like, disappear, or would students continue to replace other ones if they move off? Would the freshmen, like, move off? Like, if you guys think that, would you, like, move to whatever caucus, like?
Representative Brubaker?
No, the idea of this bill is that if there are open positions, that freshmen who have not already been elected to the first year caucus could run for them. So this does not affect first year representatives for houses.
Representative Downey?
I guess I just have a question. I'm not really sure on this, but the way that the system was originally set up, I believe it's just because the freshmen have a lot of familiarity with freshman affairs, that kind of thing. And then all the other schools have their positions because they're supposed to know those respective schools. Because freshmen coming in can't even really get into the classes or any of that, I'm just kind of concerned that by having them run for the position, they're not really actually in tune with any of the affairs of the different schools they're at, while they could be helping out with the freshman caucus. And I understand there's probably extra freshmen, but I mean, like, from like an engineering standpoint, if someone coming in, even if they have a ton of AP credit, they still can't get into real engineering classes until at the very earliest, spring. And so they're just hitting the classes of the actual specific school of engineering. They're hitting their math, their science, that kind of thing. That's gen ed. So I just have a concern that they're not really all the way in tune with, I guess, everything that needs to be going on.
By spring semester, though, I think most freshmen are pretty familiar with this university and have given a lot of thought to their considered majors. Some people declare as soon as possible. Now, if they're going to change their mind at some point, that's not really an issue here. But I feel like after a semester, they've had at least a decent idea of the university, and they can be assistants to the caucus they're elected to, and they can become better in touch with the school once they're elected. But if the position is open, and even if other people are running for it, that's for this body to vote on if they're qualified or not. I just want to give them the opportunity to run.
As a reminder, this is only being brought up for general discussion. There's no need for debate right now as to whether or not this is in the best interest of the Assembly. Just feedback for the freshman caucus as they author this. So, feedback, Representative Bell.
This isn't related to that. We can get back to that if you guys want. But like 2 weeks ago, I told you guys about the health plan. How like some people were getting health cards even though they already waived it. I contacted the person. She said that Atnia, the health insurance company that Case is affiliated with, prematurely shipped the cards. Like they had a list of like who hadn't waived it yet. And what they did is after the drop ad period, that was the 22nd, January 22nd, they sent back an updated list of everybody that had, waived it. And basically, if you got a card but you waived it, she said you can destroy it because you're not registered on ATNIA's side, so it's not going to do you anything.
Excellent.
That's that.
Thank you for following up with that, Representative Bell. Before we move on to general open forum, are there any other points for Representative Brubaker and the first year caucus on this bill? Vice President Wang?
I just want to keep a reminder to freshmen who would like to serve that there's always at-large representative positions available so they can still get involved, even as of right now. And I just also want to touch back on something Colin said. Of course, this is always one of the main concerns is that, like, engineering, you don't take a lot of classes till your junior year. For a bio major, you don't take a bio class till second semester unless you have both AP credits for chemistry and biology. So I think that it takes a while to adjust a particular school and its curriculum. So I think that's something that needs to be considered into your bill if you want to push forward with this.
Representative Teshelu?
Along the same lines, I understand that freshmen may have taken courses that apply towards their major during their first semester, but it's not until they declare their major that they get a major advisor. The major advisor is one of those really good means of getting connected to your college, which you don't really have until that second semester.
Go ahead.
Actually, on that point, I have several friends who declared in November as soon as they could, and they've been in regular contact with advisors since then. So it really is a student-by-student basis, and I think the point of this is to let them at least come here and be considered. Whatever we decide after that is what we can discuss, whether they've taken enough courses, that can be taken into consideration, but the point of this is just to allow them the opportunity to make their case.
So I'm going to direct conversation away from this now because I can tell we're headed towards debate. But please keep this in mind, and I have a feeling we will see this again in legislation, and we will have a discussion about that. So we are back to general open forum. Presenter Dunn.
I was just wondering if I could ask a question. It wasn't actually a debate.
You can definitely ask a question. Go for it.
Is there going to be language in there that if there are sophomores, juniors, seniors running, then the freshmen would not be allowed to run?
No, I think they should be allowed to compete with them if the positions stay open for that long.
Good consideration. Colleen?
No, it's not really an issue. I need feedback, and I wondered if I could have a minute, a second, 10 seconds. Okay, so
Yeah, you can.
coming up, and you'll begin to get some information about the Student Leadership Award Ceremony, which is in April, and USG does have several awards in that. We give a gift to all nominees, and it's been a portfolio, a padfolio, it's been a number of things.
Business card holder.
Business card holder.
Man purse.
So, Christina Mastrangelo from my office is our project manager from this, and she wanted me to ask you what you feel a meaningful giveaway would be. Okay, now I think it should differentiate itself from the cups and the T-shirts and the things you get at, events. So I'd really love some feedback.
Feedback for Colleen. Representative Downey?
Speaking from experience on this, if you gave a nice padfolio that said like Undergraduate Student Government, that would be amazing because that's not something to give away. Just like a nice block padfolio that you take to interviews, that kind of thing. It's really classy. It's not that expensive if you get them in bulk. It's just, I think it would be great.
Okay.
Sounds like a great consideration for PR. Any other suggestions for Colleen? President Pinder?
So I have an affinity towards lapel pins. I can get like a student leader.
I have an affinity towards embroidered sport coats, so if you could look into those.
Green jacket?
What? Yeah, green jacket. And I want my name on the lapel, so when I put the collar up, everyone can see it. Thanks. Representative Hamilton? Does anyone have any other suggestions for Colleen?
I'd love to hear it.
Do that. Representative Hamilton.
I wanted to ask a question of VP Thompson. I got that right.
Yeah.
I'm wondering wondering what's been going on with the internet of late, and if you had any knowledge about that whatsoever.
I do in fact have some.
He always has
Specifically
knowledge.
yesterday. So basically how the case network works, everything goes through one central area, and that area kind of blew up yesterday. So there was delays in the internet wasn't accessible, and caused some internal network issues also. And they're working to fix that, but is there anything else specifically that you're...
I've heard it's possibly that those problems have come because the network no longer exists in that case. Yeah, DC++. Would there be any validity to that?
Or are you saying there might be retaliation?
I'm saying people legally download
From a theoretical standpoint, I guess it's possible, but unlikely. Because in order to overwhelm the network with downloads, essentially, we require a lot of it.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Representative Bell?
Two unrelated things, well, one's related. Back to the thing, it really isn't anything with the bill, but if we have a template of the bill, we need to change the 2000X to a 2010X. That's just random. We're a year behind now. And I forgot the other stuff.
Representative Downey?
Can you define kind of blew up? I mean, is it like an ongoing problem, like they had to take it down to rebuild them?
No, if not physically blew up. Well, that would be impressive. It just, the way, there's basically the way the network works. So the network information comes in, and it has to be decided where it has to go. And that takes.
Was it a software or hardware thing? Is what I guess.
It was a software thing that caused, like, there was basically so much information coming in that it didn't have the computing power to process all of it at the same time. So it might have been a bug in the software, or it could have been actually just too much information.
Okay.
So they haven't determined it.
Representative Irick?
I just want to bring up, 2 weeks ago, I wasn't at USG. I fell on the ice that day, and my eye was swollen shut, and I had to have a face CT and a head CT, and I had to have a root canal in my tooth. This is why, like, this looks really good. It happened 2 weeks ago. It looked really bad. So I don't know. I fell outside the nursing school, and I filed a incident report with campus security. But there was only one strip of the sidewalk that was salted, so I don't know who I could talk to about that. To make sure the whole sidewalk, because I know a lot of elderly people also go to the dental clinic. That's right next to the nursing school, and it's also, I'm not sure if that's hospital sidewalk or campus sidewalk, or how I could follow up with that issue.
Vice President Nguyen, do you have a contact
For my
for?
knowledge, you're talking about the sidewalk across from Albert on Rainbow Baby's side?
No, right outside the nursing school, across from Lowell, off corner.
I do believe that is University Hospital if it's not Wolstein. Because Wolstein area, that's us. And I'm trying to imagine where you're talking about. This is
right outside.
Oh, right outside nursing school.
I think that's
I'll have to look into that. I think it might be, I'm not sure actually. Let me look into that.
And could she contact Kathy Hack?
Yeah.
And ask her specifically? Kathy Hack.
Okay.
That's,
I just don't want to help.
yeah, so it's C-A-T-H-Y and then H-A-C-H.
Okay. Representative Lupton, welcome.
Two things. I got some good news and some bad news. So I'll start with the bad news. Elevators on. I just need to. Maybe we can send out an email. Mitri, can you let me know who I need to email? Because I mean, I'll just start flooding their inbox. Because okay, the good news. Let me go to the good news before you say anything. Yes. A couple days prior to that, there was an elevator man there fixing it. So I guess the issue is, what are they doing to fix it?
Keith, can you remind us which elevator you're talking about?
Oh, sorry, that's the village parking lot on the north side.
So I had this discussion with VP Jameson last week. When did this happen?
I have to think about it, but I'd say it didn't work on
It wasn't working.
Monday, yesterday.
So recently?
It wasn't working Saturday.
Oh, okay. Well, from my discussion with him, what they did from all the previous complaints last semester was that they decided to switch the, I guess, what's the appropriate term? Not carrier, but like the appropriate people to go and maintain the elevators. They basically said no to the other people and said you're fired, and then hired some other people. And so they thought that this was going to help improve it because they just thought maybe they weren't fixing it correctly. But I'll put this into him and see what he thinks. But I don't know. We have a new, I guess, maintenance crew for those elevators. So if it comes down to just those elevators, then this would be something that he would have to know, and they would probably look into that. So I'll let him know. Thank you for letting me know.
Representative Brubaker.
Representative Begat and I serve on the FISCU, I guess what's the formal name of that committee? Arts and Sciences, like educational planning. In like the next month or two, there's going to be a faculty forum on actually getting rid of the global and cultural diversity requirement. And I was wondering if there was, I don't know, if there are any opinions in here that we can take to that committee when it meets next, in the next couple of weeks.
Could you explain what that requirement is?
We're not really sure, actually. Right now, it's a 3 credit hour requirement in every school that you basically take a class that introduces you to another culture
Okay.
in some way.
Non-Western culture.
It's okay, so it's a course requirement change, is what this is, a curriculum change?
There's going to be faculty discussion on that, and wondering what the USG has to say about that.
Representative O'Brien?
What's the incentive of getting, what's the outcome? What are you striving to achieve?
Representative Begat?
The reason is that many students, many students don't take it till the last year, and then there's always, UGS keeps getting requests to include other classes as that, like a course on Jewish folklore, a course on Amish history, or then there's not, then they want to work the definition of what a Western culture, non-Western culture is, and so that's why it came from UGS. It was brought up to the committee just to drop it because they're not sure if it's really doing what it's supposed to be doing anymore. And I believe I brought up the issue could be addressed by the subcommittee on diversity. I remember I forwarded it to you.
Thanks. Representative Downey?
I have a question. I'm not sure I actually heard this before. Are you sure it's in all schools?
It's just in a,
It's
okay.
just, okay, my mistake, I'm sorry.
So I think if this issue could especially be discussed in the Arts and Science Caucus, that would be prudent. Vice President Nguyen?
Just real quick, I planned to do something today. I asked Scott to bring a camera because I wanted to take all your pictures for the representative development flyers. We're still doing those. I promise you your faces will be captured in that camera eventually. But be ready for next week. So if you want to, I don't know, dress up or something like that, put on makeup, you guys. I will be taking pictures next GA for your representative flyers that will be probably poster size on Whitney's walls. So if you want to look good next GA, it'd be, good. All right, thank you.
We'll move on. Before we do that, I'm going to get on a soapbox really quick because I sit at the front and I see everyone. Associate Provost Fleschler said that one of their obstacles is communicating with students and getting buy-in really from students. And it's convenient because one of the things that we work is for buy-in from administration. In order for that respect to be mutual, I understand we're all very busy people, but when we have a figure as prevalent as that, I would hope that you would be able to put aside email and things like that for 20 minutes. It is very important that we understand what it is that his office does and that he can get the feedback from us. And that goes for all of our guest speakers because they really do turn to us for 100% input on what the students mean. Your input is very important to them. So please keep that in mind for future guest speakers. Colleen?
One of the things that I promised exec I would do this year is to reflect a little bit more on the contents of the notebook. And I know that was addressed at the retreat a little bit. So I have chosen a particular page that I want to spend a minute on. If you have your book, if you would open the page, it says 47 on here. I don't know if that's actually the page, but it's
Who has
fairly.
the book?
Did we bring your book?
Keith.
No worries. Thank you. Kudos to those who have it. Congratulations. That's awesome. But please start bringing it, because this is part of why. Anyway, page 47 is about getting and staying organized. So my first question is, how many of you consider yourself to be organized? Okay, outstanding. I would like you, one of you, any of you, to share your secret. Feel free. Gary.
Lots and lots of Post-its.
On your notebook, on your desk, on your mirror, where is it?
They used to be on my desk a while ago, but then I collected them all and then I showed them onto my planner because if I just leave it on the page, I forget about it. And so this way things are sticking out and I know when I have to study, when I have meetings, when I have posters to print, when I have lab papers due.
Got it. Other ones? Wait.
Two things, my BlackBerry and Google Task. Awesome.
Google Task? Okay. Others? Just start shouting them out.
Google Calendar.
I was going to say, I have my Palm, and I have a memo for each group and event, everything like that, and I have a checklist, and you go through people I need to contact and all that. So,
okay.
I clean my room every night before I go to bed, so that's how I keep my room organized.
So Keith needs a very organized brain. In order to, I do too. I'm exactly like that as well. Trevor.
I was like categorizing. This one's for academic stuff. This one's for everything else, life and extracurriculars and stuff. And I once had a third one, but I stopped using it. That way you can take them with you everywhere. Post-its are hard to take
You
everywhere.
ever lost them?
What?
You ever lose them?
I lost one once in freshman year and I about cried. But also, someone said Google Calendar. Also, Google Docs are great because, along with that, because you can go to any computer anywhere and have access to whatever it is you need to keep organized with everywhere.
Nice, very nice. Yes.
Well, since you talked about Blackberries and Palms, I have an iPhone, so I use that.
Very
Gosh.
good, very good. Divya.
ESS has like these blown up semester calendars, which is great for just kind of like saying where your tests are and stuff, so you can just immediately look at it quickly and have a good idea of when things are.
I want to piggyback on that because my staff thinks I'm hysterical because I have this book that's exactly like that. But you know what? I have saved so many behinds and meetings because not only is it a full-blown look at the month and figure out your month, but I have 5 years. So you need a date for Springfest from 2003. I've got it right there. So anyway, I know you can do that on your computer and everything, but okay, a couple more. Yes.
I'd say like not really, I'm not technologically savvy, but just plan ahead and know what you have to do for it for yourself.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, yes, one more.
I'm not really what you call organized, but the thing that keeps me the most organized is I have a nice little whiteboard duct taped to my wall in front of my computer. And since I figure that's where I spend like 50% of my time or more on Facebook and all that, it's great testing stuff.
50%.
One of the things we know about getting and staying organized is that there's nobody that teaches us those skills. You can go to a guidance counselor, you can go, I'm thinking when you're in high school, because that's where you really needed the foundation. So I don't know how many of you taught yourself when you came here, but how you organize your life now is vastly different than any time of your life. And it will be that way for the rest of your life because your schedule literally goes from, I'm going to say 7 in the morning until midnight, and that's being generous. And some of you are way past that. So read through this. Some of these things we talked about were on this list. All of the things you talked about. Some of them are visual, some of them are technology. One of the things that didn't come out was called what they refer to as e-organization, which means clean up your laptop so that you can be more effective. Get rid of documents, eliminate emails that you don't need anymore. Get rid of your junk mail, all those things, so that you're feeling more organized and more managed. So the final thing I want to say about being organized is that when you're planning and developing your schedule and plan ahead, make sure you factor in me time. I mean, I know you hear that from a lot of people, but I absolutely know that if you don't have any me time, and if it's exercise and things like Colin mentions, or is it things that video time, chill time with some people, or if it is social networking on the computer, whatever it is, just take that time and make sure you build it into your schedule, because it will never happen unless you put it in, so, okay? That's it, thank you.
Excellent. We will now move into announcements. President Pinder.
All right, I have a long list. 1, tomorrow I'll have my first dinner with Dwayne with the freshman caucus. We're having Chipotle, USG office. It's going to be awesome. Caucus leaders, speak to me. I know I just spoke with the nursing caucus today. You want to have dinner with me? I'm buying free dinner. Free dinner, you know, they say like there's no such thing as a free lunch. Well, there is now. That's dinner with me. So contact me, get that on your calendars. Just kind of reiterate, USG Open Forum, please, please, please. It's during community hour. So it means everybody should be there. I expect everybody from USG to be there to support the Engineering Caucus and Academic Affairs Committee in putting on this really cool idea. Read this. Read this. Read this. Vice President Mobley is coming next week. I really don't want to have all exec members just asking our administrators questions. I would like participation from all of the assembly. So please read this, come with questions so we can have a really good, robust discussion on diversity in this university. Okay, Thursday, there will be an OMA Orientation Leader event. Where is that?
Sears 345?
Yeah, it's part of the OMA's Keeping It Real series. Minchu will be on the panel, so please come to support him. If you don't feel like walking this year and you want to be ignored, there's an I-Week event, the I-Week panel on integrity in this university, which I will be serving on speaking. So you have 2 really cool options. I won't feel slighted either way. But yeah, come support that. Finally, the leadership conference, Saturday. I sent an email out. Please, please come. I registered, it's gonna be awesome. So they have just a lot of really cool stuff. I know a lot of people are putting on different things. I know Speaker Douglas will be putting on an event about, well, there will be an event about marketing your organization. So please, please come. It's gonna be really cool. And then finally, if you want to stay, exec meeting after. All right, I'm done.
Vice President Nguyen.
I take back my comment. It's Sears 430. And I have one announcement actually. SEC sent out a referendum last Friday and asked for students to vote on student salaries, basically whether or not student organizations should get paid or students individually should get paid salaries for doing certain projects. And the reason why this is controversial is because it comes out of your student activities fee, the $143.5 that you pay to your per semester to the student activities fee. So make sure you look over all the points. Please vote. This is something that I would really like to have. You know, a lot of people would kind of just get in because we want to get a really good, clear image of what the student wants. That's all.
Representative Brubaker.
2 things. Buy a Singing Valentine from Caseman's Glee Club. They're going to be on sale in Nord, Ripley, and Whitner the next 2 weeks. And
would you sing it to me?
If you pay for one, yes.
Okay. Continue.
And, this Friday, Saturday is the 24-hour ergathon for the rowing team. Please come to Wade Commons and support us. Cheer, buy some baked goods, and laugh at us for doing this.
Representative Downey.
2 things. First, the USG Open Forum this Friday. It is about assignments after university breaks. So the deal is 3 years ago, there was legislation passed that said after fall break for 3 days, teachers are not allowed to have tests or major assignments due. I talked to Dr. Fee, or Vice Provost Fee, and he said, please, please, please go with this. Try to get this through. It'd be a great idea. So now we're expanding it to all these university breaks for 3 days. Should we not have tests or major assignments? The theory behind this is you can actually enjoy your break instead of wearing a 22-page paper going on. That is at 12:30 this Friday. Great food. Please come. The second thing I have is I sent an email out this weekend about Tackle the Tower this Saturday morning that I and 2 other guys are doing. It raises money for Ronald McDonald, and it's a race up 37 flights of stairs. It's a lot of fun. I think last year it finished in 6 minutes. So I'm challenging anyone else to beat me this year. So if you want to, please come out with me. It's a load of fun. We get pictures with Ronald, and we raise some money for a really good cause. I sent the link to you. So thank you guys.
Representative Moser, not Moeller.
Coming up register, and registration's going to open soon. And if you make a really awesome airplane, you have the potential of winning $250 of cold hard cash. So watch for the registration. It's going to be really cool. And teams can be 1 to 3 people.
Parliamentarian Agarwal.
So Relay for Life is having its kickoff event this Friday in Twing Atrium at 12:30. It is at the same time as the forum, but it goes till 2. So after the forum, come over, get some free ice cream and some relay giveaways to support Relay for Life. Thanks.
Representative Moeller.
Faculty student basketball is February 26th. I'm doing the marketing for that. If anyone wants to email me some cool flyer ideas, I may or may not give you a cookie and a hug.
Sweet. Representative Lupton.
Yeah. Keep your eyes out this Friday in the Observer. In light of Super Bowl weekend, we're going to, the PR committee helped me finish the pizza directory. So we're going to have an article by Nate here. He's going to write an article about the pizza directory, who, some statistics, and so this will be the first time we actually put the directory in the Observer anymore. So look out for that on Friday.
Senator O'Brien.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Get out of here.
I was meeting on the first floor.